Okay, 2018 Nat 5 non-calculator paper. Um, First thing we should probably do before we start is just to remind ourselves of the formula list. So, plenty of good stuff going on here. Don't forget that exists. The minute we see any question to do with volumes, areas, or where there's angles, always worth having a look at this. Okay. I've just recently done the 2019 paper, so this is the second paper to go up on the channel. Um, so yeah, if you've started 2019 and worked your way back, you should start to see some of the kind of repetition, the patterns that the SQA have in their questioning. So yeah, right away we can see we've got a fraction question to start off with, just the same as 2019. All right. So we need to add these two fractions together. So we've got a standard fraction here, and then we've got a mixed number here. Now what we could do is turn this into a top-heavy fraction, but it's just going to make life, I think more difficult for us because we're using it with a bigger number here. So what I would do is I would just say, well, we know we've got 2 in the bank, okay? So let's just keep 2, and then we're going to do the kind of fraction bit as a separate, okay? So we're trying to add a third and 4/5, okay? You could make that top heavy. That's not a problem, but if you do, you just have bigger numbers to deal with, okay? So adding fractions, we need to do, and again, what I've said is feel free to pause the video, to open the video, pause it, try and do the question, then watch it. Now and again, I'll take little pauses to give you a chance to pause the video. So what we're going to do here, yep, that's right, we're going to do smiling across, okay? So what we're trying to do is find a common denominator, okay? So that's what the smile is. We're going to multiply 3 and 5, so we're going to get 15 as our common denominator, okay? And then we do the cross, 1 and 5, so 5 times 1 gives us 5, 3 times 4 gives us 12. Okay? And you can see why now putting this as a top heavy fraction wouldn't have been the best, because this would have turned out 7/3, so out of 35 up here, so it's just not really worth it. Okay, so we've got 2 plus our 2 fractions. Now this, because we've got the same denominator, we can now rewrite as 17 over 15. Yeah, so we'll get rid of this. 17 over 15. Again, that's actually, I probably should have done that, because don't ever score out your working in your exam, okay? I'm just doing this as I'm chatting through it, but keep all your work in showing don't score any of that out. So we've got 17 over 15. So the minute we get 15 over 15, we've got a whole, okay? So I know I've got one whole and I've got 2 15s left, okay? So in this number here, you can imagine that as, yeah, if you know that 15 over 15 is going to give you 1. So the minute this number is greater than 15, or the denominator, you know you've got a whole number and then whatever's left. Okay? So I know I've got 1 and 2 15ths, but I still need to add my 2 to it, don't I? So in the end, I'm going to be left with 3 and 2 15ths. Okay. You could leave it as that, or you could turn it into a top heavy fraction, give you 47 15ths, that's totally fine. But the marking scheme is really just going to give you a mark for your common denominator. It's going to give you a mark for putting this into 15ths. Okay, so your first one will be here, and your second mark would be adding them together at the end. Okay, so yeah, that's your first one with fractions, nice and straightforward. That can actually, I think that's one of the, see, nice and straightforward. When it comes to fractions, that's about as complicated as it gets. When you're multiplying fractions, if we were to do, a third times, 2/4, multiplying is the easiest one because you just multiply the top and you multiply the bottom. Okay, 1 times 2, 3 times 4. So that's the one you really want. That's the easiest one. And again, dividing, people think dividing sounds really hard. And when you actually think about what it is, it's quite complicated, I suppose. But if you were to say I'm going to do this, it's not that difficult at all. We do our KFC. Okay, we do keep, flip, change. So we keep this the same. So that's a half. We flip this one, so that's 4 over 2, and we change the sign in the middle, keep flip change, and we're just back to the multiplying, just as we were before. Okay. A half divided by 2/4, which is a half divided by a half, which gives us 1. So we can just see that prove that works, because we know a half divided by half will give us 1. Okay. So yeah, smiling cross is about as complicated as it can get, okay, but it's really not that bad, is it? We're just finding a common denominator. Okay, good start. So yeah, for the exam, we should be just settling down nicely now. Just relax. We can do some fractions. That's not too hard. This is similar to the last question on 2019 paper. Expand and simplify. Okay, so we've got two brackets multiplied together, and we're adding on another bracket which needs multiplied out. Okay, so let's do. I'm going to do that one first, and then we'll do this one second. Okay, so multiply this out. I would always, and again, I'll try and draw it well. Sometimes, if you watch these videos, you see that sometimes my drawing is a bit rubbish. Let's try that on. That'll do. So, pardon me. So, on the top here, we're going to have 3x and 1. And on the bottom here, we're going to have x and minus 1. Usually I just extend that on just a little bit. Okay. So from here, we're going to do this times this, and then this times this, and then this times this, and then this times this. So I like it drawn out as a wee table. Some people, do the that kind of method where they add it together. I think that's absolutely valid. If that's what you're comfortable doing, go for it. I personally quite like the tables, and I think it helps when you come to do factorising and you have to do trial and error. I quite like it laid out like this, but that's just me. Okay. So what does that give us? Well, it gives us 3x squared. And then these two terms we're going to collect. So minus 3, and you can imagine there's a 1 in front of that. Okay, so minus 3 plus 1 is going to give us minus 2x, and then minus 1. So that's the first bracket dealt with. The second bracket is very easy to multiply. We don't really have to do the table for this. Okay, we just know that's going to give us 2x squared minus 10. Okay, in fact, what I'm going to do, just to make life a bit easier for me, I'm just going to put minus 10 below the units. Okay, so I've kept the squares together, kept the units together. So these are my two brackets. So now I can collect all the terms. I can say, well, if I'm adding these two together, I'm going to get 5x squared minus 2x minus 11 minus 10 plus minus 1 is minus 10 minus 1. Okay, and that'll be our final answer. Okay. So the 3 marks for this one, you're going to get a mark for multiplying out the brackets. Okay, so this would be your first mark in here. Just check this. Yeah, so you get a mark for multiplying out the first bracket, a mark for the second one, and then your third mark for adding them together. Okay, so if you weren't sure even how to finish it off, surely we can all multiply this bracket out. That's very easy. There's 1 out of 3 without much hassle at all. That's not too difficult as well. So even if you're not great at grouping terms or just do any working you can, and that's all those little marks are going to add up. Okay. Do I've got time to move on to question 3? Yeah, probably. Okay, question 3. Solve algebraically the system of equations. So algebraically just means we can't do trial and error. So don't sit and do, okay, what if x is 1, what if y is 1, and go on and on. So we need to do it algebraically. So before they've sometimes asked you to make equations up. In this case, they've given you the equations, all right? So the key to this is to make two terms the same. Okay, so I need to have something on here that's the same as something on here. Okay, so right now all the numbers are different. Okay. And the easiest way to do that is just to multiply, let's call this equation 1, and we'll call this equation 2. Okay. The easiest way to do that is multiply equation 1 by a factor in equation 2 and vice versa. So for example, in here, I can multiply this equation by minus 2, and I can multiply this one by 5. Okay, so I'm going to end up with the same y term. Okay, and some people are really good at spotting common factors before then. For example, if I times this equation by 2, I'm going to get 12x. And if I times this equation by 3, I'm going to get 12x. And that just keeps the numbers a little bit smaller. Okay, so you can do that if you want, if you're good with the numbers. But if you can't find a factor, just multiply it by the factors that are already there. Okay, so if I times this one by 6 and times this one by 4, I'm going to get 24x up here and 24x down here. Okay, so the name of the game is to get similar numbers. So yeah, just to make my life a bit easier, I'm going to times this one by 2, and I'm going to times this one by 3, and that's going to give me 12x. Okay, so equation 1 times by 3, I'm going to get 12x plus 15y is equal to minus 9. Okay. Equation 2 times 2 is going to give me 12x minus 4y is equal to 10. So that's your first step. Then we need to get rid of these x terms. So 1 through one of the equations, take away the other equation. Now looking at it, I think it'll be easier to do 1 minus 2 to keep the y's positive. Okay, so if I do 1 minus 2, I really should have called that 3 times 1 and 2 times 2. But anyway, so now we're going to do 1 minus 2. So the x's become nothing, so that's good. 15 take away negative 4 is going to give us 19y. And minus 9 take away 10 is going to give us minus 19. Okay. So then, I'm just going to pause that 2 seconds. Yep, sorry, pardon me. So yeah, looking at that, again, we can just tell from looking at it that y is going to be minus 1. But if we wanted to, go through our steps, we know that 19 times y is on this side. So to move 19 times, we need to do 19 divide. So it's minus 19 divided by 19. That gives us minus 1. Okay, just to remind us about moving things over. Okay, so that was step 1, that was step 2. Step 3 is very simple. We just put this minus 1 back in. Okay, so I'm going to pick equation 2. Okay, so I've got 6x minus 2, and we know that y is minus 1, and that is equal to 5. Okay, so it gives me 6x plus 2, because I've got 2 times minus 1, so that's minus 2. Take it away and make it a plus, equals 5. So I want to get the 2 onto this side, so I'm going to take it away. So I'm left with 6x is equal to 5 minus 2, which is 3. And then to move the 6 over, I need to divide it. So x is equal to 3 divided by 6. And obviously that's a half, or 0.5. Obviously your handwriting won't be as massive as mine, so you should be able to fit this in. Obviously if it's linear, I think it makes it easier to follow. I would never suggest writing something in that fashion. So yeah, that's a nice easy way to get this going. So we've done fractions, we've done breaking up brackets, and now simultaneous equations. Very, very straightforward. So for this, don't forget, you're just multiplying this equation and the other equation by numbers, which will give us something similar. Okay, I could have done it for the y's. It doesn't matter if it's y or x. You just want to get these same numbers. And again, don't get hung up at multiplying it by minuses or whatever, because we can take the equation away. We don't have to multiply through by minus 2. I could have multiplied this through by a minus number and then added the equations. Doesn't really matter. Okay, good stuff.